That is first topic, which is we would have Nexus hardware architectures, and inside that we will talk about the architecture of NXOS installation and management. Okay, then we have VPCs, VDCs as well. Okay, we do also have the fabric path. So we will cover simultaneously. We will cover all the topics of the Nexus over here. So today we are going to discuss first of all about the Nexus fundamental, that is we have, and how many types of boots process which is we have and all the things. So we will discuss that. So let's just start with the Nexus fundamentals part over here. So inside the Nexus fundamental, first of all, if I'll tell you the some Nexus series of the switches. So we have 2K series of the switches, 5K series of the Nexus switches, 7K, and we do also have the 9K series of the switches. They have the different modules. They have different chassis, and they do have the different port capabilities and all. Okay, it whenever we do have the part of that particular the model number of that, so we will also discuss about those things as well. But before coming on that point, we must have to discuss about the Nexus booting process, like how, if you will get any Nexus series switches, so how you will make it boot. Okay, how you can get the particular systems inside that, and what are the sequence which is you must have to follow inside of it. Am I audible clearly, guys? If I'm audible, so you can reply it over here.
Yeah, Jay, it's clear.
Okay, fine. So let's start with the booting process first. So we have operating system files because of C. If we do not have any image files or any kind of files which is we would have to for the installation process. So how the operating system is gonna be installed? That's not possible, right? So first of all, we need the operating system files for the installation. Then we do have what? The Cisco, the Cisco Nexus operating system software consists of two kind of images. What are those? The kickstart image and the file system image. The system image, you can say that. Okay. So what is the kickstart and what is the system image that is we have? So kickstart image contains the Linux kernel file, basic drivers, and the initial file system. Would be like dot bin file and dot these kind of files which is we would have for the Linux files and all. So those things will gonna be managed inside the kickstart image. Now, if I'm talk about the system image, so the system image contains the system software infrastructure and layer fours through seven. That means the all the application which is running inside of that. Who is going to carry that particular system image? Where these kind of things is gonna be managed inside the system image. Okay. So what are that? So we do have the boot sequence over here. Let me make it a small. Yes. So we have boot sequence. So inside the boot sequence, the boot is the kickstart and the system image must be present to be for a successful boot. The boot permanent point to be located for the both kickstart and the system image. So basically, what is happening whenever you just go inside the BIOS and you just run a power on self test or runs a bootloader programming that inside of that. So what will happen? It will just go over on the loader program where your boot flash file and your iOS file is gonna be checked. Okay, would be regarding your internal flash, would be regarding your kickstart image files and the system image files. That is gonna be checked inside the loader function. Then it will check the kickstart image. Okay, because of if we have the kickstart image or system image file, so those both the things is gonna be checked inside that. Okay, after the loading the particular power on self test or the bootloader program inside the loader. Okay, so after that, the system and the kickstart image, both things will work on the same thing, would be your NVRAM, where your multiple configuration are gonna be saved. That would be related to your startup configuration, boot parameters, right? And the some sequence files as well, which is related to the your configuration, which is you are going to do that. Okay, so all the kind of images which is you are using for that, every file is gonna be stored somewhere. That is NVRAM. Okay, then we have system RAM. Okay, in the system image file, it maintains the every file inside the system RAM. Okay, like where the NVRAM is going to maintain the system file is going to work on the both the things, even on the NVRAM and the RAM as well, system RAM. But the Kickstar only work on the NVRAM only. Okay, so that is the main difference between the two operating system file type which is we have, and they are running this kind of things inside of that. Now, what is the boot sequence? We have discussed that we have boot sequence, then we have boot, you know, the particular loader program and all the things. So, what is the boot sequence? When the Cisco Nexus switches is first switched on or building reboot, the system BIOS on the supervisor modular first run power on software. That means post. Okay, so the post is gonna be check, and this is going to run every kind of features functions inside the loader program. Okay, because of the bootloader will work over there, and then it will basically add the particular features or applications functions inside that. Okay, then what will happen, who is going to manage what kind of images file it is going to maintain? That is boot flash file, such as your kickstarts file, right? And these kind of images file is going to maintain inside the NVRAM of the kickstart. Okay, then we have the particular kernel file where your the boot flash dot boot flash file is going to be stored inside of that, would be regarding related to your any operating system inside of that. Okay, then the next we have, that is NXOS software. Because of after the installation, we need some recovery as well, and we need some if any misconfiguration would be happen will be happen. So what can be the solution for that, where we can find it out the previous configuration? So we must have to save the configuration somewhere inside the NVRAM with using your startup configuration. Okay, so we have two kind of configuration part, that is startup configuration and running configuration. Okay, that is we have we were talking about boot flash recovery. So the recovery produce the require the regular sequence to be interrupted. The internal sequence goes through the three three phases between the time that you turn on the system and the time that the system prompt appears on the terminate. That would be related to your BIOS, bootloader, or any kind of images file we have. Okay, so everything, every recovery function, we must always have that. Okay, if we do not have any recovery in that, so there will be the multiple problem can be certainly happened. Okay, so then we have this kind of some recovery options which is we can do on a particular loader program or inside the boot particular things. So what are the phases we have? We have three phases, that is BIOS, bootloader, and NXOS image. So in these three phases we have the multiple recovery prompt as well, and the normal prompt as well. Okay, so what are the normal prompt, what are the recovery prompt which is we would have? So normal prompt would be always work like this, the loader, and this you will find it out would be like this, when you will gonna be recover any kind of things from your flash. Okay, Then we have starting NXOS. So this kind of, the some guide you will get it over here in a starting NXOS. Then we have uncompressing system. So there, you're the last function which is uh, you can control it use for the NXOS images file, and then you can take a reboot of your the bootstrap program. Okay, but in this case everything is going to run inside the running configuration only. If you want to save the command, save the everything, so you have to copy everything from the running configuration to the startup configuration where your NVRAM is gonna be work. Okay, so if you want to recover anything from the bootloader, so how you can take a recover? Simple, you can go on the recover, type dir, and then you can run this command. If you want, so you can write it down that as well, because of most of the time your client will ask this kind of questions from you, that how we can take a recovery from the loader. Okay, so you must have to aware about what would be your the file system and how you can take a recovery from there. Everyone done? Okay, so after putting this command, what we need to do, we must have to define the particular the server where your that particular image is stored. Okay, so we have to define the IP address of that, and then set gateway. So we have to also define the gateway for that particular the server which is where your operating systems are stored. So you have to check the things, like you have to take a backup from the TFTP server. Like you must have any server which is reachable from you, right? That would be FTP server or TFTP server. So that TFTP server have the particular IP address where you can take a backup of your any kind of operating system files from there. Okay, so then you have to define the particular file system file name which is we would have. Okay, that is this. So you have to define after the IP address of the TFTP, you have to define the file name using the slash. Okay, that means we have to take the access from the boot. Like what we have to do, we are going to take the access from the boot to the TFTP server. And what is the IP of the TFTP? That is the IP address. Then what is the file name which is we can find it out inside the TFTP? That is the file name which is uh, we can take a backup of that. Okay, so this is the same thing which is we would have. Okay, just the only version which is we can change it inside of that. Okay, now let's suppose sometimes you forgot the some password. Then how you can basically break the password, or how you can recover the password from the Nexus series of the switches. So what you have to do, first of all, you have to take a reload of your switch, and then what you need to do, once you will reload, then the power on self test, when the power on self test will be done. Okay, after that you have to press this kind of key. Okay, like up arrow key, you have to press it, and then you will get entered inside the init state, or you can initialize the process, you can get entered inside the in state. Okay, after that, what we have in the next step, we have to send this process for the password recovery. What are the command which is we can follow? That is sending process the term signals. That means we have to send the some uh, process for this kind of signals and any kind of things which is we would have. Then you have to go inside the configuration terminal, then you have to define the some password and the new password, and then you can take a exit from there. Okay, so this is how basically you can take a login and you can reset the password using your password recovery. Then we have using power on auto provisioning. Okay, so we will, when we will cover this kind of part, when we have discussed the basic things about the Nexus. Okay, so let's discuss Nexus setup utility first. Okay, like if you will purchase any Nexus series switches, so how you can make it set up, how you can set it up. Okay, give me a minute. So what is the overview? So the first overview of this the setup utility which is we would have, whenever you will turn on the device, it will ask the password and username, right? So what would be our first step? The step one, which is the power on the device. Then what is the next step? Enter the new password for the administrator. So we have to define the password for the administrator. Then the third step which is we have, enter the setup mode by entering yes. That means after that we have to press yes, then we can set up then we can get entered inside the setup mode. Okay, so then after that we have create like after pressing yes, the first, third, fourth step which is we have create additional account by the entering yes or no default. So after pressing yes, what would be the next step? You have to define the user ID, then you have to define the password and enter the default user role. Okay, so what will be the role that would you have to define, that is admin or whatever the role you have. Okay, enter the user role, you have to define the role for this network, what is that, operator, network admin, or whatever the VTC admin, this kind of network role you have to define. And then the in the fifth step you have to define the SNMP. Okay, so after this switching the name, like after defining the name of this series of the switch, you have to define the community of this SNMP version. Okay, this is a kind of SNMP is a protocol which is used to monitor the traffic would be regarding any kind of things which is we would have. Okay, so where we have to share the string keys, and where we have to define the SNMP communities inside of that. Okay, Then in the next step, which is we have enable the license grace. Okay, that means you have to press the you have to define the license key as well if you have. Okay, then we have to define the some management IP if you have the some management IP for the testing purpose, because of we are installing the setup. But if you want to make if you want to check it, like how exactly how exactly it works inside the network, so you have to define the management IP and the management subnet mask with the default gateway. Okay, so there the few configuration we must have to do after that as well. That would be prefix, destination mask, next hop address. Like if you understand, like what we do have to do, like if you go for the some initial process of the configuration, let me show you any kind of device configuration. If I'll show you, just give me a minute. I'll let it turn on. Not yes. Okay, I think we will get inside the inside the if we will get the yes option. Okay, so I'll show you. I just wanted to show you the initial configuration which is we have to do. Okay, like what would be the next step or what would be the next configuration which is we have to do if you press yes over here, because of you cannot do modification by your own self, but you must have to aware about that, like how exactly we can configure whenever we have to put the yes or no. Just give me a minute. 10.6. Okay, fine. Let me get sign in. Let me create the some node. So save. Okay, so here is the router. Let me turn it on, or I think it's already on. Why it is turning on again and again? I think I have to disable whole things inside of that. Let me delete everything. Okay, let me create the some node. Let me take the two routers and just wait for a minute. Okay, I'm trying to configure the few things over here. Like if we will not exactly we are getting that access, um, we can try on the lab.
Hey,
Yes,
I'm Mrityunjay here.
yes, Mrityunjay.
Yes, actually, I remember I mentioned that. I am getting LDP never see error. The
Mm-hmm.
PLC is turning down. The
Mm-hmm.
never see.
Yes.
Yeah, basically it was a problem from the network side. Uh, the reachability was a concern because in topology we have set three EBGP neighborship in between the router one to router two, three, and four, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, so if you are advertising in the OSPF, the network you need to perform the redistribution because for the EBGP uh, the AD values comes around 20, so that's why it makes some network flapping in that because the metric is or AD value is mismatching. So that's why I
Yes.
have to configure and then again I have to configure and then distribute the OSPF into BGP and BGP into the OSPF. And now I reconfigure all those things again and found that now it is stable.
Okay. Fine. Uh,
You got my point.
yes. Yes. I got you. I got you.
There was no there was no problem of a hold on time or something like that.
Mhm.
Actually, it was denying the ending the TCP connection since the TCP connection works on the BGP. So it is take the while you are configuring the MPLS LDP, it also works on the TCP. So that's why the problem happens when the BGP is turning down the request and never seeing flapping. So
Okay.
it affects on the LDP as well.
Okay. Fine. Fine. We will also discuss that one as well. Okay, if you want. So we will also discuss. But what I'm trying to tell you basically, simply what we do, like we press the no and then directly we do the configuration by your own self, right? By like according to our requirement. But if you will press yes, like whenever you will get enter the initial configuration, would be like yes. So it will ask what? Would you like to enter the basic management setup? If you will press yes, so it will ask the host name, right? So you have to define the host name, that is router. Then what it will ask, it is asking the secret password. Okay, so you have to define the password. Then we have to ask the enter password, that means normal password. So you have to define the normal password. Then you have to define the particular different password inside that, like lots of multiple securities which is we have to follow. So like we cannot do any modification by your according to our requirement. This is the basic like default configuration, you can say the default configuration which is it needs to do. Okay, so we have to initialize the process for that. Like if you started with the setup of this, so how you can do that and what are the processes which is you can follow. Okay, so that is the main thing which is inside of that. Okay, now if you if you want to understand the CLI of the Nexus, so what can be the things? So there will be your catalyst series of the switches, would be any kind of series of the switches we would have. Here we can take the Nexus series of 5K series switches, 7K series switches, and 9K series of the switches. And then we have the servers basically over here. Okay, or you can say that MSD switches, which is we have 9,000 series of that. Okay, so in the common summary, if I'm talk about the access method, which is we can take it. That is, these are the some access method which is we can get inside the EXC for the global configuration, for the interface configuration, for the VDC, VRF, for the EXC configuration. So you will get the multiple things um, inside the NXOS CLI fundamentals. Okay, so we will get the multiple things inside of, like first of all what we have to do. So this is for the your basic, like for uh, for what? This is for the local. This is for your Cisco Catalyst series switches, and then we have to define the particular feature inside that, like would be VGP or any kind of banner method. So we can define the particular banner method. Then we have NXOS confidential features. That would be like if you want to go for the features using your NXOS, the Nexus series of the 7700. Okay, so this is the model number which is we have, that is 7701. Okay, so you can check the features, like what are the features it can support. Okay, so you can check the features as well using these multiple things like feature set or install feature set, and then you can check the particular feature like does it support the fabric path or not, does it support the FCOs or not, does it support the MPLS or not. So you can check the multiple features of the in of this particular series of the switch, the Nexus series of the switches as well, and then the multiple variables concept which is we would also have over here. Okay, now if I'm talk about the other CLI's options which is we have, so like if you want to configure any IP address on the interfaces on the Nexus 5K series switch, so this is the same thing which is we can follow, like if you want to configure any IP address on the Nexus series of the switches, so you have to configure it would be like this. Not you don't have to define the the subnet mask like 255 like this. You can directly go for the CIDR value and then the configuration would be done. Okay, then we have if you wanted to check the any interfaces configuration, like what are the configurations which is we would have over here, so you can check it, show it on the particular interface as well. Okay, and yes, so we can check it the particular history of that as well, like what are the command switches we can run. So you can check the history of that particular switch as well for the like how many kind of command switches we have done inside of that. Okay.
Jay, the Nexus switches
Yes.
can be accessed through the GUI mode.
Yes, we
Is
do
it
also.
possible
We
for
do.
Nexus switch to
Yes, we do also have. Okay.
option to we
For
can directly access these Nexus switches through the management port, or should we have to go
no, for the for this
like
things,
some
for these
manage?
things we have the both the option for the management port. We can also take the access using that as well, and for the console port we can also take the access. Okay,
Suppose
both the
in
options.
data center we have 400 switches, and for the Nexus OS, is there any controlling device like in a firewall setup we have ASDM? Uh,
See, we
so
have the
Nexus can
multiple.
be managed by any.
Yes, we have multiple things. I understand what you want to ask. We have multiple things would be like fabric path and UCS, the controller which is basically we have. So these kind of the few devices which is we have, and one more thing we do also have, that is DNA. So the
That is
DNA,
also the
yes,
Cisco ACI.
yes, ACI. So ACI is compatible with the everything, and basically this is compatible with the fabric path, UCS, and any kind of things which is we have any devices it support. Okay, and basically why we use the ACI, basically in the Nexus series of the switches, we don't have the access of the cloud basically before the Nexus series of the switches of 7,000. Okay, 7,000 and above of the series of the switches, you have the access to, you can add with the cloud, like uh, the some projects you will I think you heard about it, like the data center migration on the SD-WAN. So what exactly it is, there will be your Nexus 9,000 series of the switches is gonna be work, and as well as this is compatible with your ACI. So ACI is having this kind of capabilities to bind with the cloud, and it will work on that. Okay.
We can also in ACI we can also bind any other vendor switch.
Yes, any
Is it
other,
not?
yes, we can also bind it. Okay, we will also
Mm.
discuss that as well.
Okay.
Okay, so these are the some configuration or some parameters which is you can check, like if you want to check the particular output, like if you want to check the particular output for the Nexus series of the any kind of output which is you want, so you can just run these examples. uh, you can check these parameters for the getting the output of the Nexus series of the switches. Okay, so this is how you can check the particular any of the protocol. You can check inside of that, and you can check any numbers, any interfaces using these CLIs. I will also share this video with you so you can get familiar with that. If you want to write it down this command, so you can take a snapshot, so might be it will helpful for you. Done. Okay, is everyone done? So let's discuss some architecture of the data center, basically how exactly it works, what are the process which is we would have in that. Okay, and what are the other process which is we can follow in that. So we have to like enable the some services. If you want to enable the some service would be regarding your software or any kind of application, so you can also add the some services over here. Okay, if you want to if you wanted to my management any infrastructure with your VMware vCenters, vClient, and this kind of things, so it also have the feature to manage this kind of things with that. Then we have Nexus 7000 series of the switch. So in the Nexus 7000 series of the switch, we have uh, two types of switch inside of that. That is modular and non-modular switch. Okay, so what is the difference between the modular and non-modular? So basically, the modular switch that gives you uh, that gives you to do some modification in their slots, right? There will be the multiple the express slots, so you can add it over here. And in the non-modular switch, there you will not get any kind of access would be regarding your any external ports inside of that. Okay, so that is the main things in main difference inside the modular and non-modular platform of the Nexus 7000s. Okay, now if I'm talk about Nexus 7000 platform, so we have 10 and 18 slots versions inside that, and 15 tera TV systems inside that, unified fabric ready. That means it support uh, the 10 GB per second of the Ethernet fabric path. It also support 1 GB Ethernet. It also support 10 GB Ethernet, and it also support the supervisor slots as well. Okay, so we have two kind of things inside that, which is modular and non-modular switch. So the modular switch will with there you can add the any external supervisor slots or um, any external paths, any external ports inside that. In a non-modular switch, you cannot add it. Okay. Then we have the some supervisor engine architecture as well. So this, let's suppose this is our Nexus series of the switch. There you will get the some port for the users, some port for the auxiliary port for this, and this is the back side, the back panel of that switch. Okay, the front panel would be look like your whole port was is just connected in that, in the same. Okay, it's not here, otherwise I will show you. Okay, so this is the main thing which is we would have for the Nexus. And we do also, we will get the some USB port, some reset button inside that, and then we have Ethernet port in that, and we have multiple things inside of it. Okay, so we do also have the fabric module, multiple modules we can add it inside the data centers of the switches. Okay, like we do have the 10 GB 80 GB per second of the modular switch. We do also have 230 GB of the modular switch. We do also have the 46 GB per second of the modular switch. So we have, it depends upon the capabilities and the modular switch which is we have. Okay, now Nexus 7000 output module, if I'm talk about, so we have the some version Nexus version as well, which is its support, that is 5.1. It can support over on the 32 port. There you have the 10 GB of the Ethernet module in that. Okay, we do have the different Nexus version of the switches, 48. So that in that basically it support the maximumly 48 port which is we have. So these kind of capabilities it can handle, that is 46 GB per second per slots. So it depends upon the multiple speed. We do also have the speed as well. Okay, just give me a minute. Wait for a minute. Okay, so we have the fabric paths. So what is the fabric path where your VSS, VPCs are gonna be work, and the VPC part we will, we will discuss the fabric path after the VPC, because of before that we will have to understand how exactly the aggregation of the port is gonna be working that, and how exactly it works. Okay, then you can understand the fabric path. Okay. Now, we do have the OTV. So let me directly jump to the part of OTV. Let me check it first. Do we have OTV or not? Okay, OTV and VPLS. We do have. So let me just check it for the OTV. And okay, so this OTV is basically what the OTV is. Is basically the three names is considered with the three name, that is overlay, transport, virtualization. Okay, so what is the overlay, transport, virtualization? Because of it consists the three word in that. Okay, so what is the overlay? So overlay is providing an overlay VPN in addition of an IP network It is dependent upon the underlying infrastructure, technology, and the services. It does not impose any restriction of the underlying infrastructure as long as it is capable to the transporting IP packets. Okay, so this kind of things which is we would have inside the overlay where your VPN is gonna be work inside of that. Okay, then we have the transport. So what is the transport? The OTP provides a layer 2 transport across a layer 3 network. It can uh, it can leverage all the underlying capabilities of the underlying transport network, such as fast convergence, load balancing, and multicast replication. So, the transport does support the layer 2 transport across a layer 3 network. That means where your multiple IPs is going to be work. So, this transport, the OTP transport is going to be work to to manage the convergence, to the link convergence, to manage the load balancing and the replication of the link as well. So that is the use of transport OTP. Then we have virtualization. So that means where your always the unicast, multicast, and broadcast traffic, which is we can utilize inside the virtualization. That is the main uses of OTP. Okay, so we have the two kind of network in that, that is underlay network and overlay network. So what is the underlay? Is the physical infrastructure above the switches and overlay network is built. That means inside the local area network only. Okay, so what are the protocol we can run inside the LAN network? That would be VLAN, switching, routing, right? So these kind of protocols we can run. And if I'm talking about overlay network, so it is a VPN, virtual private network. Okay, virtual network that is built on top of an underlying network infrastructure. That would be your MPLS, VPLS, OTV, and multiple things is gonna be work inside of that. Okay, so that is the main function of that. If I if I'll show you some uh, there's a concept of that. So this is our overlay network, which is connected with the OTV. Okay, and this is our underlay network. Okay, or you can say that the connectivity. If you have remember, uh, we just make the MPLS, but before making MPLS, we make the BGP or OSPF. So the OSPF and BGP is what? The BGP and OSPF is your underlay network. Okay, an overlay network is what? Is your MPLS. Okay, in a simple terms, if I'm talk about. Okay, so we have multiple things in that for the overlay. Like we can go for the VDC, VPC as well. We can just create on some OTV as well. Side between the two sides, we can just add it using your core network. Okay, so where your IP address, you have to define the IP address of the particular core network on that. So we have multiple things in that. Okay, okay. Do you have any doubt regarding this? Just for now.
What's it?
Okay, let me turn off the PCs first.
Actually, Jay, the VXLAN is that I wanted. Do you have any information about the VXLAN?
Yes, I do have. We will also cover simultaneously, guys. Please be patient. Okay. VXLAN, VDC, VPCs, we will cover everything. Okay. But you must have to keep patience on that. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Give me a minute. I think I'll put my. Just give me 1 minute, okay? I'll be back, and then we will do it. Continue.
This PDF also will share, right?
Sorry.
This PDF file also will share, right? See?
Yes, yes. I will share it on your WhatsApp. Okay.
Okay.
And this was the first part of the Nexus series, which is we discussed whatever we discussed just for today. Okay. We will discuss tomorrow about the every part of the Nexus, like what is the Cisco Nexus, uses of that, and what are the series of the switches we would have. What are the differences between Cisco Nexus 5, 5K, 7K, and 9K? Okay, and what is DCNM, what is fabric path, what is VPC, okay, what is VXLAN. So everything, what is what is VDC, what is OTP, okay. So we will discuss everything from tomorrow. Just for today, um, that is enough, I think, because of the data center. We don't want to mess it up because of the lots of things which is we would have to cover in that. So if it is possible, we can cover it in the parts, so that would be good, I think. Okay, that is why I was talking about these things. Okay.